Welcome back to episode 3 of The Last Word on Rugby. Back with me is Ashfaq Mohammed and Mike Greenaway. Guys, good morning. It's been a couple of nice episodes. We've hit a little bit of a lull with the rugby, but we're back this weekend with a big North-South derby between the Stormers and Bulls down here in Cape Town. Of course, some Six Nations action after round one, some brilliant games. Ireland looking the goods, and then France blanking out Wales. That was kind of a terrible game by Wales, but they're facing the Box later this year, so we might see another experimental Box side against Wales again. Guys, welcome again. If we can jump straight into it. Ashfaq, you've been working alongside me this week with the Bulls and the Stormers. Pretty interesting game coming up, knowing how many senior players are out in both sides. What do we expect this weekend?
Hi, Leighton. Hi, Mike. Yes, it's certainly an opportunity for those guys coming in to make a name for themselves. I mean, with all due respect to the Sharks and the Lions and Cheetahs, this is the biggest game in South African rugby, the domestic rugby. So, for the Bulls, they finally cracked the Stormers code last year at Loftus after losing 7 in a row. So they will take a lot of confidence out of that, knowing that they can beat the Stormers. But of course, Cape Town Stadium is a different kettle of fish entirely. Having chatted with Imros Papier this week, he spoke about the crowd at Cape Town Stadium, our capacity crowd really feels the Stormers. So, it's almost like no matter which Stormers team lines up in terms of injuries or selections, it's almost like they grow an extra leg because of the crowd against a team like the Bulls, the arch rivals, their main enemies. So in terms of that, I think it's really an opportunity for some of those new guys to come through. For the Bulls, in the same way, they've also got some major injuries. Erich Low is out, still waiting for his operation on his knee, could be out for the rest of the season. Rowan Nokia is probably going to be out for 2 to 3 months as well. Johan Goosen, the same thing. So for those guys, particularly the line out, I think there's going to be a crucial part for the Bulls to get right on Saturday.
And the Sharks experienced the very strong Bulls in Durban in front of a capacity crowd. Just Ashwak touched on it, and like you said, Imros Papier said, having a capacity crowd there is something that just fuels a side. Do you think with the Stormers and being on this losing run that they've gone on since coming home? Do you think that crowd could play a factor in them keeping that spotless record against the Bulls at home?
Yeah, it could be the Stormers' biggest asset. As a neutral, looking at what is likely to be the two teams and looking at the form of the respective sides. If you're on the fence, you would decide that how can the Stormers win? I mean, I look at all those guys out in the backline in particular, which almost define the Stormers. I mean, Duplessis, Cousins, Marnie, Sasha, Ruan Nel is very important in marshalling the defense. The Stormers short on confidence. Yeah, of course they'll draw on the crowd, but yeah, I would say that the Bulls, if the Stormers win, it'll be a shock and it'll be one of their greatest victories.
Ashia, if we move up north, there's been a lot of talk about Willie Leroux at 10. First of all, do you see that happening this weekend? And then just what kind of wizardry and trickery can he bring from that position if Jake White decides to put him in there?
Yeah, I certainly would back Willie Leroux at number 10. Don't forget, he's the Quite Cooper of Boland Rugby. All those years ago, he couldn't even crack the Stormers squad, unfortunately. I don't know
Yeah.
why. The coaches at that time must answer for that. But, he was a revelation at flower for Boland, and eventually had to make his way to Griquas and the Cheetahs and develop as a wing and then eventually as a fullback to make the Springbok side. But you know, Willie the Strand don't. He's a bag full of tricks there. He can mix it up with, and it's not just playing it, swinging it out wide as many Stormers fans like to say, but he's also got a very intelligent tactical kicking boot. He's got a lovely left boot where he can, you know, gooi a torpedo, you know, 50, 60 meters downfield. Those little chippies over the back line into space for the wings to cotton onto. So, you know, he can vary it really well for the Bulls. Of course, the Stormers, if they are smart, they'll get one of the loose swords to really hunt him down behind the advantage line. You know, if you cut down his space, that's when Willie will be challenged. But he's got some big centers too, like Harold Foster and Steedman Gans and David Krill and the boys who can alleviate some of that pressure. But you know, also we mustn't forget the Bulls are missing Kurtley Arends, who's a
Yeah.
massive like runner out wide. He's still in Japan at the moment. So they're really missing their cutting edge out wide. But as a team, I agree with Mike that the Bulls should be considered favorites for this game. But of course, we know the Bulls and favorites and Cape Town just don't go
They don't.
together. I think they've been favorites before many times, and that's why Jake White wouldn't like to hear that they are considered favorites, because that's just when, you know, the occasion, the pressure, the Stormers are so desperate, so many injuries, not going well. This is the kind of game that really the Stormers will get up for.
Yeah.
Listen, if I could just come in here, you know, going back to the Stormers and how it kind of got almost a B backline there. You know, it looks like Yuri Matia will probably start, and I know Ashfaq touched on this last week, but it'll be interesting to see if Dobbo cuts his suit according to his cloth. You know, if you haven't got Marnie's skills there, and you've got Yuri Matia who has a different set of skills, he's got an educated boot on him. You know, maybe they've got to come up with a game plan where, you know, it's smash and grab. They get into the Bulls' sort of territory, and they earn penalties, they kick the goals, they bank the points, they get out of town. You know, that could be the way to, but it's not the Stormers' way. So whether they you know, come up with something different, or they stick to the same thing, which worked well when they've got the players to finish, you know, those kind of tactics, and I'm not sure they have. So I think it'll be interesting to see what strategy Dobbo comes up with.
And
Yeah,
Leighton, I wonder, can the Stormers scrum handle Volkelo and Gerard Steenkamp?
That's the big thing. Satish Atole spoke about fronting up to Wilco Low on Saturday, so we'll see. It's arguably the two best scrums in the URC competition. So it's gonna be a scene for fireworks. That battle up front. No, Netlin Fusia will be all too happy. To also get some proper scrumming time on the field. He's been playing second fiddle to Frans Malherbe, of course, the box is tight end, but hopefully there's a change up in the front, and we'll see Nietas back and ready to take on the scrum from kickoff. Interesting thing yesterday at the Stormers' practice was sort of them running a 5-3 Bencham split, which I haven't had in a while. It was Clayton Blommetjies, Wandi Silis Milani, and then of course the scrummy, and then so it's going to be interesting to see if Dobbo reverts back to the 5-3 and go the conservative way, like you said last week, Ashfaq, and Mike also brought up now. I think for this game, having so many strike players out, it could be the perfect opportunity to fall back on something that they know. Of course, they won't be venturing too far away from their hot potato rugby. They've been throwing long passes across the field yesterday as a warm-up as well. So that was lucky to see, even props throwing 15, 20-meter passes to get the ball around the park. And ultimately that's what the fans want to see, that high tempo rugby. So hopefully we'll get that on Saturday, but also some rugby that says, look, we need to win here in Cape Town again. Mike,
And there's
just
also Sorry, Leighton. There's also, of course, Springbok spots up for grabs here, and the one big name from the Bulls is Cameron Hanekom, who's been
Yeah.
sensational as a number
Hmm.
8 for them. And he got a taste of the box squad last season and made his debut against Wales. And I wrote a column a couple of weeks back, or comment piece, saying that I think he's actually pushing for that Springbok number 8 jersey. I know
Yeah.
Jasper Visser's there, and Ulrich was there now. Certainly with Ulrich's injury as a backup number 8 to Jasper, Cameron is really, really producing the goods. And a big game like this against the Stormers at the packed Cape Town Stadium could just be the time for him to prove to Rassie again that he can do it, whether it's tight or loose. He can mix it up with his pace out wide. He can go up the guts around the fringes of the breakdowns as well. Line out option too. So he's got it all. So this is a game again for him to make his mark.
Yeah, and then obviously you'll have quite a couple of his family there being from Ceres, so he's
Course,
he's he's
Leighton,
got
you
a
would get that. He's from Sierras, Leighton. We know he's from Sierras. Is he your chummy from Sierras?
he's a bit on the young side for me, but yeah, we shared a high school before he moved along. Yeah, yeah. Mike, I was just going to throw you under the bus. Speaking about that Springbok spots, and it's Cameron Hanekom versus Evan Roos, who seemed to have matured in terms of his rugby. He's moved away from the handbags. Just how do you view that competition there? And if you would give it to someone, which way are you leaning?
Yeah, look, Cameron is the form guy. I think Evan has still got quite a lot of ground to make up. He seems to have the correct attitude now. We did discuss it a little bit last week where, I mean, he's got all the ingredients to be a magnificent loose forward. I mean, he's got those powerful thighs. I mean, he can run through guys. He just needs to keep his head down. But I think he's got ground to make up on Cameron at the moment. But yeah, let's see what he produces. I mean, this is the ideal platform. While we're on the subject of loose forwards, yeah, there's some great matchups in the pack in general, but how it's shaping up, we could have two old bull elephants going at each other, and Dion Ferry and Marcel Coetzee. You know, if Brannas gets going, the Stormers could rally around him. He is that kind of player. He doesn't like losing, and he particularly dislikes losing to the Bulls. So he will be key. And then of course, Marcel has been around the block a few times, and he's also very important to the Bulls. So those guys are inspirational for both of their sides, and it'll be interesting to see their little battle going on. Or I wouldn't call it little. But yeah, the matchups all over. Hey, I think we mentioned Stennekamp versus possibly Malherbe. I'm not too sure what will happen there, but there's another old warhorse versus a young pretender. Yeah, hooker, we could have Joseph Dweba up against Grobbies. Yeah, so there's quite a lot of interesting little facets into this game. I think it's going to be a classic North-South derby.
Yeah, and looking at what you just said, can you give us a prediction on the spot? You can, if you have to decide today and you've got to put some money on it, where would you go?
Bulls by 5.
That was straight to the point. Ashfaq?
Look, it depends if you're speaking with the heart or the head here. I'm not speaking with either, and I don't have money to put on anything. But the Bulls are definitely the favorites. There's no doubt about that. But it's again on the day that Stormers just rallies around the crowd, the occasion, and not wanting to lose to the Bulls. I think they could pull off a shock again. I think they can do it. I think by 2 points, Stormers by two, because of that ingrained thing of the Bulls and the occasion, despite against all odds once again.
You sound like a current Bulls player that I spoke to, I think
Yeah.
last year, just before they played the Stormers here in Cape Town, and he didn't play that weekend, but he will surely play on Saturday. And he told me there's just something about the Stormers. in Cape
Yeah.
Town that just something sparks them when they play the Bulls, and then they, without even key players, they pull something, a rabbit out of their hat, and I feel it's gonna go that way, but then my head tells me, come on, it's not another season of the Bulls coming to Cape Town and ending up on the wrong side of the scoreboard. They need it. I think they're South Africa's best chance in the URC, looking at how they've been going. And if they can again catch up to Glasgow, um, beat them to second place on the log, and it's a clear running possibly to the final for them. So my head's going with the Bulls tomorrow, on Saturday, and it's going to be a good one.
It's
Look,
about
just
handling that
finish off.
pressure.
Sorry,
Yeah.
you go, Ashfaq.
Yeah, it's about handling that pressure, the occasion for the Bulls, because
Mm.
these are the games that will determine whether they're in first, second, or third on the
Yeah,
URC tour. And if they really want to push Glasgow and Leinster for that top spot, they have to win these kind of games. Leinster, they beat the Munsters and the Ulsters, generally speaking. And that is where the Bulls need to make up that ground if they really want to end top of the URC log.
I just wanted to add, talking about the Stormers needing something special, that this is perfect for one of Dobbo's great sort of raise the guys in the change room with some poetry or some some Shakespeare quotes or something. This is made for him. Their backs against the wall, they expected to lose. And of course, the big nuance in these games is always Jake versus Dobbo. They have a rivalry, right? And
they
Dobbo, I
do.
think, has won 7 out of 8. Jake's got 1 win in Loftus, and that's it, and nothing in Cape Town. So it's perfect ammunition for Dobbo to pull something out there.
Yeah. We've chatted about some nice Springbok potential matchups in this game. But if we can move to a more serious topic, that the Sharks sent out yesterday, Mike. No, you were off, but did you manage to catch a glimpse of that injury report? Very concerning that Eben Etzebeth can't get over those returning symptoms of
Yeah.
his concussion, eh?
Yeah, so that injury report, that's what leapt out at me. Is Eben got that knock to the head on December 7th against I think it was Exeter in
Exeter, yes.
Durban. Yeah, so we're now 3 months on, hey?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to be sensationalist here, but I mean, if you're still getting headaches 3 months on, that is a massive concern. I don't want, it might be too early to start raising the subject of a Patrick Lambie, but look, I mean, they're saying in their report, we take this matter very, very seriously, and we will take all precautions to make sure he's okay. So yeah, again, I don't want to push alarm bells, but if you look at that report, it's quite worrying. And
It is.
yeah, so I understand there was a practice not too long ago I think he was going to play against the Stormers, and they were busy training, and then he came off with a headache. Yeah, so look, let's see what happens. Let's not speculate too much now,
Yeah.
but that was the most worrying thing out of that report. Yeah.
Caution, and is that caution to just let Eben take as long as he can to recover, not having to worry about coming back for possibly Challenge Cup, round of 16,
Yeah.
quarterfinal, final, and also the first 3 tests of the year for the Boks. Is that maybe a chance to wrap him in cotton wool?
Yeah, look, the policy of John Plumtree regarding his Springboks is they're having the month of February off. So Eben and all the Springboks will not be considered for the trip to Loftus next week. So if you consider, Eben has February off, which we only on the 7th now. So he's got a little bit of a break, just in case if there's any lingering issues with that concussion, he's at least got a couple of weeks now. I think the Sharks are going to. I won't say they've written off that trip to the Bulls. There's no such thing in Plumtree's DNA to just sort of roll over. But my understanding is they will send a second string side to that Loftus game. There will be no Springboks involved, and then they're going to go full out in those home and away matches against the Lions. So yeah, that's how they'll time their run. Is when they get back and the Boks are back in March. Then they'll go full out and try and see how they can finish on the URC log. So Eben has got a little bit of breathing space, as have the other injured Boks and the Sharks is set up. But yeah, we watch that space and we just cross fingers and hope that the big guy's going to be all right.
Now, especially if he wants to go and the Springboks need him to go to 2027. There's no doubt about that, Ashfaq.
Yeah, I just, first of all, his health is the most important thing. So I think for the man himself, he's got a young family as well. That is the main priority. I think rugby should perhaps be on the back burner for now, until it's total clearance in terms of his recovery and he's getting better and the headaches are gone. Of course, he will have the best medical care possible at the moment. And we all hope for the best. But, really, if you're in such a situation, I think just rather step away from the game for a while. As much as we all love seeing Eben bashing through everybody and scoring great tries and winning lineups and all these things, we first want him to be well and healthy. So once that is sorted, then we can look again at the rugby. Of course, the big games for this season would be the All Blacks in New Zealand. Those are the biggest game for the Boks this weekend, and Rassie would love to have Eben back for those games. But even if it means missing that and taking the rest of the year off, to ensure that he gets to 2027 World Cup and that he's healthy and able to resume his career. If that's required, then that should be done.
Absolutely.
Talking about international rugby, brilliant round one of Six Nations Championship. Ireland getting the best there of England in the end, a nail biter, but I feel Ireland just had the upper hand after minute 50. What was it? 51, 52, 53, and then France also looking the goods. What do you guys think of that start and also the weekend's games ahead and another big one between France and England?
Look, yeah, it's Groundhog Day for England. I think we mentioned last week that, in 11 of their last 12 games or something that they've lost, they've led in the 50th minute, and then it's all fall down in the last half an hour, and that's exactly what happened again. So we don't know. Is it a coaching thing? Do they not have the players, the big match temperament players who know what to do? There are ways and means of closing out a game, of course, and England just don't seem to be able to do it. Probably the defining part of that match was the impact of the respective benches. I mean, the Irish bomb squad detonated, and England's was a damp squib. They just didn't really influence the game. And Ireland scored 22 points in 20 minutes without reply, as their replacements made a massive difference. So maybe Borthwick just doesn't have the ammo on the bench. Maybe but you just have to think, in England with so many players and such a strong premiership, it's difficult to understand why they can't have a strong bench. But again, maybe it's a Borthwick thing, because it's the same thing again and again every single week. England have a great first half and then just fade. So I would say he's under extreme pressure.
Ashim, looking at that Scotland-Ireland game, Ireland's quick out of the blocks. Scotland was going about their business. picking up a comprehensive win. It wasn't the squeaky cleanest game from them, but do you think they could actually be some dark horses with their SA-based players in the Six Nations?
Yeah, the South Africans are never far from success. So, that is why they've gotten onto that. They're missing actually Dylan Richardson at hooker from the Sharks. So that's a bit of a blow for them. But yeah, you see, the thing with Scotland is we know they can play beautiful running rugby, but
Mm.
it's a pack that needs to step up. They're always competitive at the breakdowns and make life difficult, like Glasgow. They kind of scrappy and spoil your ball kind of thing. But for them to really get the edge there, they need to win their lineouts, get scrum penalties, and that is the biggest challenge for them. But Leighton, I also just want to chat on France, England, and people call it Le Crunch. I want to hope that it's actually be Le Flop. As a South African, I want to see a 3-3 draw between France and England. Really, man, I don't want the winner there at all. Can a South African sort of not enjoy teams as much as England and France? I'm not so sure considering the history and all of that. But all jokes aside, the key for England is stopping Antoine Dupont. He's not the GOAT in my opinion, despite many people thinking he is. I feel there are quite a few guys better than him, but there's no doubt his influence on the French side. He is crucial. He makes them tick. So you, the English loose forwards can get to him, spoil him, disrupt him, even if it means taking a penalty for the team off the ball here and there, just to knock him about, just rattle him a bit, just to get him off course. That is when England will have a chance because I think England's forwards can sort of be competitive against France, although the French, they got some heavyweight locks in particular who just knock you out of the way, and they like a big number 8 as well. But Dupont is the guy that makes the magic for France. So get to him, and then you've got a chance.
Yeah, I've just been looking at the side England are likely to pick, and they're bringing in Finn Smith at fly half and moving Marcus Smith to full back, which would be an extremely interesting selection, given that both Smiths are not renowned for their defense. But it suggests to me that Borthwick is at least going to go down fighting, because the thinking of putting Smith at fullback Marcus is French kick the French kick long. They play for territory a lot, so they're looking for the counter attack from Marcus. So, and he is superb at that. So at least it looks like they've got a positive mindset. But yeah, they've lost 3 in a row to France. France are coming out. They win it 4 in a row. Will be the first time they've done that since the mid-90s. It's difficult to see England winning, but yeah, that Twickenham factor. Oh well, it's now the Lions Stadium apparently, and England, funnily enough, haven't won a game since it became the former Twickenham, since it became the Lions. So I would have to say France are favourites substantially.
Yeah, and then obviously there's that wooden spoon match in Italy, Wales.